Hey everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, I'm going to be asking the question, if Udemy instructors become more profitable, will Udemy become more profitable? I'm going to be answering that question in this video. Alright, welcome back to this video, and make sure that you like, subscribe, more subscribers to get the more content we can make. Number one reason why you subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel is to get in the money-making trends before they go mainstream. Alright, so a question that I've asked myself and the Udemy team, as well as a lot of other instructors over the years, is if Udemy is more profitable to instructors or instructor companies, will Udemy be more profitable? Now, some people say no, some people say yes. Now, this also goes into the kind of realm is whether or not Udemy instructors are like Uber drivers or not. Now, of course, if you're looking at an exact one-to-one comparison, then perhaps no, they're not exactly the same. However, Udemy did start around the same time as Airbnb and Uber, and I don't have their pitch deck, which if you know where I can get Udemy's 2010 pitch deck, let me know. I would love to do a deep dive analysis on it. But I would assume it would be similar to Uber and Airbnb. You have all these people that need just a little bit of work, and we can kind of, crowdsource all of this labor here. So we could do that with Uber, with cars and taxis. We can do that with Airbnbs, with houses and accommodations, disrupting hotels, and we can also do that with teaching, where teachers can just teach in their spare time. Now, you can definitely do that. You can definitely do that with Airbnb or Uber, but making content doesn't quite work that way. Now, of course, are a lot of instructors that are like, okay, I know something about this. Maybe I'm a teacher in real life, and I'll just throw something up onto Udemy. But here's the thing. The quality, in order to get good quality content, that is like video content, there needs to be more things done. And I've mentioned this again and again and again, is that the top instructors, the quality level hasn't really gone up in the last 5 years. Now, it has gone up a bit, but not that much. And the reason is that we've hit a ceiling on content production, and it's because the marketplace isn't scalable. Okay, so let me take a look at this one very simple kind of a chart that I think it should be, and the way other marketplaces work, but it's not the way Udemy works. And if you're an investor, then you need to watch out for this. Okay, so you have a company. Okay, you have a simple company. They create a product, right? So they create a product. So then they put it onto a marketplace. Of course, they could sell it. Of course, I could do a lot more of a diagram here, but they sell it on a marketplace, okay? And what does the marketplace do? What is the whole point of going onto a marketplace? Well, they drive traffic to your product, right? They drive trust to your product, right? And that's through a review system. Now, of course, like just putting yourself onto Udemy doesn't make your course more trustworthy, even though there is a review process. So I guess you could say that if your course is on Udemy, it's a little bit more special than if it wasn't on Udemy. All right. So the trust, and you all get that social that's social proof that your product is good with reviews here, right? And then customers go to your product as well. Now, traffic and customers are two different things, right? Traffic, people are seeing your product. Customers are people who are buying your product, okay? So what comes out of that? Well, we have revenue, okay? Probably the number one thing. You have prestige, customer satisfaction, right? These are the things that the product does, but it's why it's on the marketplace. Now, this part is the key, okay? So money goes back to the company so they can create more products, and make more money, etc. And the other thing that happens in here is repeat buyers. Okay, that's also key, because if you have a marketplace where they only buy once, that's not very good, right? So they have to have repeat buyers, and of course, the marketplace job is to promote the best products, right? It's to promote the best products so that you get more repeat buyers. Now, one thing I guess you could put in here is engagement, and engagement really does do the repeat buyers. Okay, but for the most part, this is the way that Udemy should work, and this is what they're not going to do, okay? And what they're going to do is they are basically moving a subscription, so it basically ends up like this, okay? So money goes in, and then maybe a little bit comes out here. So, if I could just, do this on the fly here, right? This is what they want to do. So the revenue here, and then if I make a little tiny arrow, right? Like that's and that's what happens here, right? And really, you want the company to be as successful as possible. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here. Now, of course, money goes back to the marketplace in one way, shape, or another. That's the whole point here. That's why they take a percentage of what they're doing here. But essentially, this is what Udemy should be. Okay, again, the whole point of Udemy, or at least the differentiating factor of Udemy compared to everything else, is that it has a really successful marketplace. Now, somebody could just do this here. They could be listening to these videos and then they could say, oh, look, well, this makes a heck of a lot more sense than the way Udemy's doing it, right? Because what Udemy wants to do is take all their traffic and put it into a subscription, a personal subscription. Now, they have Udemy for Business, which is like a VIP business solution, which is not a bad idea. In fact, I think it's probably a pretty good idea. But there needs to be a hard line in between the marketplace and Udemy for Business, because someone could do this, right? I mean, how hard is it to do this? Well, it's actually not that hard. I could probably do a whole other diagram as to how you would maximize your traffic for free, right? But Udemy just doesn't want to do that, right? The way Kickstarter works is that if you want to increase your traffic, you hire a marketing company. That raises your ranking in Kickstarter, and hence more trust, more customers, more products back to the company. They can create another product, right? Now, I can do a whole bunch of other videos about people retiring and Kickstarters, there will be people that will make a company, then sell it, and then maybe make a company again. And that's kind of the whole point of Kickstarter. But the whole point of Udemy is to just obviously just make the marketplace more successful. And, it doesn't really lend to companies being scalable. Because here's the thing. If I'm a company and I create one product to go through this system, right? It's going to create, let's say 1 unit of wealth, okay? So let's say I'm a company that does this so well that I can create 10 products and create 10 units of wealth. Well, is the marketplace going to be more successful or not? And the answer is absolutely it will be. It will be a lot more successful if this company creates 10 units of wealth. Furthermore, if this company, right, says, there's not just one company, there's 10 companies that can make 10 units of wealth. Well, that's really good for the marketplace, and let the companies will compete with one another. And that's a really good thing, right? So it's competitive at the course level. It's also competitive at the corporate level. So this is something you want to do. And the other thing that I've always said that Udemy should do is they should foster investment on the course side, on the company side, on the instructor side, right? Because there's only been really 1, maybe 2 instructors that have received millions of dollars of funding. I've tried before, and even though my numbers were pretty good, and again, this was way before the pandemic, so I might even want to try this again. But the point is that I can't do that. I cannot go to a VC firm and say, I would like to get this investment to make these courses and put them on these platforms, right? There's no marketplace that does that. I can do that with Steam, I can do that with App Store, I can do it with Amazon, I can do it in a whole other places, but I definitely can't do it on Udemy. And that's a huge problem, because if, let's say, I get, the funding to make 10 units of wealth here, well, then guess what? I can put that onto the marketplace, and the marketplace wins, right? The marketplace wins. So that's something that's quite interesting. And the other thing is when it comes to VC funding, 40 cents of every dollar invested goes straight to ads. And who makes the money off the ads? Well, Facebook and Google, right? They make money off the ads. So, the marketplace will make money off of this company's investment, right? But what happens if we have 10 companies, instead of making 10 units of wealth, they can only make 1? Well, obviously this company, they might not even get investment, which is what it is like now, or they might go somewhere else. This company won't go to a marketplace. They will pay for their own traffic to their own site, etc. And so I think Udemy is shooting itself in the foot, that they're going to make a subscription, a personal subscription model. That's where they're going. It's probably not going to work. And it might work in the temporary, right? Subscription revenue is not necessarily bad, but the whole thing with when it comes to investment is would you rather have 100% of a really small pie or 1% of a really, really, really large pie, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? They might get some people, with their huge list and whatnot of customers, they will go in and get the subscription. And you might see some people do that. But here's the thing. People who buy subscriptions and buy a la carte courses are two different people, okay? And everything that Udemy is trying to do is to make sure that they train their customers to go over to the subscription side. Now, I don't think that's going to work because it's been 10 years of people buying a la carte courses. And if Udemy stops doing a la carte courses, some other company will. And if you're a VC firm, well, then guess what? You can maybe start a marketplace that is just like this, right? Just like this. And then you can compete with Udemy. They have, at this point, I think it's closer to 800 million now that they've IPO'd. So what are they going to do with that money? That's a topic for a whole different video. But nevertheless, you can see how this feedback loop would work really well. And it's not like I'm being really intelligent here or I've found some new way of doing things. This is how Steam works. This is how the App Store works, right? Like this is how Amazon works, right? This is how all these companies work. Now, Amazon is probably not the best example, but Steam is probably the better example, and the App Store is a really good example. Udemy's marketplace should be more like the App Store. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be what it is now. It shouldn't be like Skillshare or all these other subscription sites. It needs to be more like the App Store. It needs to foster companies to grow into $10 million companies, $100 million companies, maybe even $1 billion companies, because that's what happens on the App Store, right? So I don't think it's going to happen particularly with e-learning, but it could, right? It could do that, but it's not going to, right? Because for whatever reason, they're like dead set on selling the subscription to the customers. And maybe you think as an investor that's a good idea, but I would argue that this is going to be a lot better. And because I talk to the customers, I know what I'm doing with the customers, I'm going to say that it is much more difficult to sell that subscription. The thing about subscriptions with e-learning is it's not like Netflix or Disney or whatever other streaming services. It's not like that. People will buy a subscription, maybe do a bit of it, and then cancel, right? That's what people will do. And a la carte courses, they buy it, and usually it's they buy something. They don't finish the course because let's be real here. It's how many books do you finish, right? You read a book maybe 50% of the way through, 30% of the way, you get what you need out of the book, and then you put it on your bookshelf. The same thing happens with courses. But do you stop buying books because do you really stop buying books because you don't finish them? No, you buy another book, right? And that's what this marketplace is. It's like the new online bookstore for online courses, right? And that's really what Udemy should embrace. And it should have been like that from the start, but they're not doing that. And there's too much corporate, there's too much confusion within the company. And there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm going to do another video about that here. But that's what this should be. This is what Udemy should be. It's the only thing they really need to do to be really, really successful. Okay? And it's very easy, very simple. And I could go over all of these things, how they attract traffic and customers. And they're not doing that. They're doing almost the exact opposite of what they should be doing. All right? And I think that eventually this will affect the stock price in a negative way, right? If they don't do these common sense things that other companies do. Like Duolingo, I talk about Duolingo all the time. Duolingo is doing everything from the common sense, right? Like one of the things they're doing is they're allowing in a paid test. Brilliant, right? Udemy doesn't even have that function, I can't have any upsells, which is a whole other thing that I could be doing on Udemy, because their $10 pricing is one of the best things that made the company what it is, but there needs to be more. And again, I think there's just too much confusion at Udemy, Udemy HQ. And I shouldn't say confusion, but like too many cooks in the kitchen to know what it's actually doing. But for example, Duolingo, you can buy. They're going to be able to buy a test like a Spanish test or whatever, right? Well, let's say I'm an instructor and I have a premium test for $20. Okay, so you can buy the course and then you can buy the premium tests for $20, right? Let's say it's AWS or Python or whatever, right? Or $30 or $50. In fact, that's what the test is on Duolingo. It's like $49, right? So now let's say I the instructor want to sell this $49 test, well, I can't because, well, I could sell it on my own website, but I can't sell it on Udemy because it doesn't exist. And why doesn't it exist? Maybe they think people don't do that. But one of the things I've noticed over the years is whenever they tell me that something happens, it's more like we have the data and, we have the data, and it's more like, no. Someone just at the top said, this is the way things are, and that's just the way it's going to be. And that's one of the things that Udemy does, is they do things the way they ought, they think things should be, versus as to what things actually would make the most money. And the best example of this from an entrepreneur is, water will make its own path down a hill, right? And if you were ever a kid and made those dams where you would, fill up a reservoir and then the dam would burst on a beach or whatever, tons of fun. Well, and then you'd maybe scoop out a path for the water. Well, you don't have to work that hard. The water will make the least path back to the lake. And business needs to be the same way. So what Udemy is trying to do is it's trying to weave its own canal in the most in probably one of the hardest ways possible. And to be fair, some of that is absolutely needed. And over the years, they needed to kind of stop a few things, or else Udemy wouldn't exist today. So it's not like an all or nothing thing. But a lot of the times, they do things in such a way that is completely non-intuitive to business, right? And, again, as a person who's, makes money and could make a heck of a lot more if they just changed a few things, well then, yeah, that would be good, right? So, like on my own site, I bundle courses and tests and whatnot, but it would be great to bundle a course and then sell the test just like Duolingo. And of course, they would take a percentage of that, right? They could take a percentage of every test taken. That sounds amazing, but it's not in there, right? It's just not in there. So, and furthermore, right, they would probably take 50% of the money if we did do a test, which that's a topic for a whole other video. People get so salty about the 30% of the App Store. Udemy takes more than that, right? And again, I'm gonna be doing a whole video about that as well. So basically, you can kind of see how this would work really well if companies were scalable, right? If companies were scalable, all of these products created would go more, and the marketplace would promote the best products, right? They would promote the best products. And that would make more revenue, more seats, more customer satisfaction. So the company could grow, create more products, and the marketplace would grow too, right? And so in conclusion, I would say that instructor success is directly related to Udemy success. The same way game publisher success is related to Steam or the App Store or any of those consoles, right? All of these, if Steam wasn't scalable, or you couldn't make a lot of money, no one would do it. They'd go do something else. And that's exactly what happens in the e-learning industry. It isn't scalable, so they go do something else. And that's really bad, right? Because especially if you're a programmer, you can go work for the competition or not even go into e-learning, which is even worse, right? You want more people to go into e-learning. And it all comes down to this, right? And their personal subscription is a no-go. It's a really bad idea. I don't think it's gonna work. It doesn't make it's scalable because I don't make any kind of money off of any subscription site other than my own, right? And that's another thing. I can't sell a subscription to all my content on Udemy, right? So, for example, I can't say you can get all of my content for $19.99. Right? That'd be awesome. And of course, Udemy takes a cut of that, right? I would want to do that as a company, but you can't do that, right? You can do it on the App Store. You can say, here's my workout app, right? You can subscribe to it for whatever, right? Here is my, whatever. Now, of course, we get into the idea that these companies kind of rip off these apps, but that's a story for a different time. But nevertheless, you can see that this is what Udemy should do. Please bring this up at the next quarterly meeting here. If you're listening to this, please bring this up. Scalable marketplace equals scalable Udemy equals more profits for you as an investor. All right? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video.